Hi, welcome to Talking Academia. Today I'm talking to Ksenia. Ksenia is a PhD student here in Cambridge on her second year and doing PhD in education. Hi Ksenia.
Hello.
Nice to have you on our show. Thank you for coming. So your PhD is in education.
In mathematics education in particular, so I look at how people learn mathematics.
Oh, okay. So your PhD project is about how people learn mathematics. What is it more specific?
More specifically, I'll look at how undergraduate students understand proofs in mathematics. So proof is quite an important concept in mathematics, but at the same time, it's not really taught in schools, at least in Estonia and also in many other countries. So people who come to study mathematics at the university, like physics, computer science, they really struggle with that. And some project is about how the students, as they transition, how they perceive proofs and how they kind of see different functions of proofs play out as they learn it.
And you're focusing on university students?
Yes, first year university students in Estonia specifically.
Oh, okay. Undergrad or?
Yeah, first year undergrads, so just fresh ones from school.
Okay. So for people who haven't done mathematics for long, can you give like a sort of simple example of a proof?
Sure. Okay, so say I give you a statement, the sum of any two even numbers is an even number. And like I could ask you, like, how would you prove that? Like
I feel embarrassed now because I probably had to do that in high school mathematics, but I haven't done mathematics for so long that
Yeah, but so like what a lot of people do, especially those who come straight from high school, they would go like, okay, 2 + 2 is 4, like 6 + 4 is 10, so like, oh, if you carry on, it's gonna stay like that. But if you're a mathematician, you're like, it's not how it works. Like, you need a more general case. So like, what you would do, you would say, okay, so and any even number is in the form, like say 2 times n, when n is like anything. So you have 2 times n plus 2 times m is 2 times n plus m, which is 2 times something. So it is an even number. You can see that like for anything, because n and m can be anything. So that's like the easiest example I can give.
Okay, yeah, that rings a bell.
I've seen students like struggle with this specific proof in the first year courses, so it's not that, easy or trivial for some.
So it's not integrated in any like Estonian, for example, high school.
No, I mean, I don't know about recently, because I think there've been some changes. But when I went to school myself and when I taught in university and I had these fresh students coming from school, they had no idea what a proof is, which is really sad, because I feel like proof is really so kind of ingrained in mathematics and is so important because it makes you understand like where things come from. And if you understand it, then you can, it's easier to memorize it or like to kind of build connections. But if you don't have it, and I think many people, again, in Estonia have this problem, like, I was just forced to memorize this formula and that formula, and like it didn't make sense to me. And so I hate math. And like, it's so common and it is so sad.
Yeah, and it sounds familiar. How do you think like this could be overcome?
There is this approach called Inquirybased learning, which is basically creating an environment for children or for students where they can come up with the results themselves. So you give them some hints, you give them some guidelines, but at the end of the day, they are the ones who derive the formula. They are the ones who prove the theorem. They are the ones who come up with the hypothesis and make it into a theorem. And it's been shown to be quite effective to actually help people learn math, but also like math.
So what age would that target?
Any age, really. You can do that with, like, I don't know, first grade. You can do that with university students. And personally, when I did my degree in the States, we've done some research on that for university students. So, like, second-year mathematics students, and I've attended many classes, and I was so impressed, having come from the Estonian system where, again, you just have this professor who tells you this theorem and that theorem, but there, like, you can actually see students come up with their own theorems. So like, I didn't know you could do that, and I'm really impressed, and I'm very pro this inquiry-based approach.
So would your mission be to integrate it in Estonian?
Oh, I'd love to, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many options with education, I feel like, because, some people stay in academia, some people become like teacher educators, what you call so teachers who prepare teachers, or people who work with governments and work on programs and ways to actually teach in schools. And I would be really interested in doing something, to an extent that would make teaching mathematics in Estonia different and like actually make it enjoyable. Because nowadays it's just sad. So many kids just hate it and have a bad experience.
Yeah, but it's funny that Estonian like mathematics is actually on quite high level, right?
Yeah.
Like Pisa tests, everything is.
Oh, we do really well in Pisa,
Yeah.
which is so like contradictory, and I'm not sure where that comes from. But then again, Pisa is a test, and it is one thing to be able to do a test and like to be told, okay, I was told to use this formula, so I'm just going to do it. And it is the other thing to actually understand where everything comes from. So, like, you know, I would say it's the same as languages. It's one thing to be able to do, like, an IELTS test to get into Cambridge State, and then it is a completely different thing to actually sit down and talk to people,
Yes.
and it's the same as math.
Yeah, of course. And how would you, what would you change to make people more happy, more enjoying, like, mathematics?
I guess I would just make it more playful. Again, as I said, like really for any level. It doesn't have to be just sitting in a lecture hall and listening to an old person talk about research that, you know, was done 200 years ago and like nobody cares about that, but more of like bringing an element of discovery into it. And when people discover mathematics on their own, they actually see that it's interesting and it's beautiful and it's fascinating.
Cool. You mentioned studying in US. What was that about? Did you do your...
I did a degree in education at the University of Michigan. So the thing is, my background is in mathematics. I did a master's in mathematics here in Cambridge. And then I wanted to do a PhD in education because I realized that it is more interesting for me than pure math. And I wanted to apply, and they told me you can't do education degree, an education PhD without a degree in social sciences. So I went to the States on a Fulbright scholarship and I got a master's from the University of Michigan in education, and then I was able to do the PhD, to start the PhD.
How was the transition from maths to education? Was it very different?
It is so different. I would say it was quite hard because like never in my life, well maybe in high school I had to write an essay on a topic or even look for specific literature on a topic, because in mathematics if you read a research paper there are some theorems and then somebody cites the theorems these are based on, and like, you go like that. But for example, when I came to Michigan, I had to write a research paper on how memory works based on, you know, whatever I could find online in proper databases, not just like Google. And I had no idea how to do that, but luckily they had this library consultations where you can go in with a librarian and they teach you how to do stuff, and I learned a lot from that. And just academic writing is really, really different in social sciences compared to math, because math is very kind of, not rigid, but very structured. So yeah, it was quite a transition.
Did you have to write like a final thesis for your master's?
No, it was a taught program, so no.
And your undergrad, was that in Estonia?
It was an Estonian charter, yeah, in mathematics, biomathematics.
And you also studied in Australia?
I did an exchange semester at the University of Melbourne, Australia. It's a little bit of a complicated story, but basically I completed my master's. I completed my undergrad in Estonia. I started my master's. And then halfway through that, I came to Cambridge to do my master's because Cambridge is obviously better. But then I had this scholarship from Estonian government that basically had this condition that you have to come back to Estonia and complete the Estonian degree. So I actually have 3 master's degrees.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. So I went to an exchange semester to Australia, and that was really fun.
Well, how do you have 3 master's degrees? Where are they from?
Cambridge, Charter, and Michigan.
Wow, and they are mathematics education?
Yes.
Wow, okay. I don't think I've talked to anyone with 3 master's degrees.
I haven't met anyone besides myself either.
Are you also planning to do 3 PhDs?
No, thank you.
How is your PhD work going? What techniques do you use, or what methods?
So my research is a mixed methods study, so that means I'm combining qualitative and quantitative part, and for the first part it is going to be a big quantitative study, so a big questionnaire where students will have to read proofs and evaluate them, and so based on that I will have some hypotheses about how they actually perceive proofs, and then I'm gonna have a smaller sample to actually do proper interviews with and sit down with and see how they think with a pen and paper in the hand. So it is a mixed method study.
Okay, and what stage are you on now?
Survey development and fieldwork preparation. So again, before I started in education, I had no idea what research methods were, because in math, like, research method is just to sit down and think about the problem. And here, like, methodology is a huge thing. You have to really prepare, you have to really think through about how you're doing things, why you're doing things, like very minor things like wording in your questionnaire, or the order of things, or whether it's going to be random, or, you know, whatever. And I had to read quite a lot about that, and it was really new for me. And yeah, now I'm at the stage of implementing all of these and creating my own questionnaire, and then heading to do fieldwork, hopefully sometime next year.
And fieldwork is in Estonia?
In Estonian charter.
Mm-hmm. Really, really cool. Interesting to hear about the transition, because I've only done like social sciences degrees, so I have always wondered how maths research works. So I think this sitting down and thinking of a problem gives me this idea.
Yeah, but also, like, one of the reasons that why I left math is that I felt it's quite isolating, because it's you and pen and paper again, and sometimes not even other people, and it's lonely on its own. But then also for me it's kind of hard when I don't know whether it's going to be applied in real life, you know, now or in 10 years or in 100 years, because it's math, it's theoretical, whereas with education I get to talk to people, I get to talk to students, and hopefully I'll get to see the results of what I study, you know, come to life. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot more motivating for me, I guess.
Yeah, so social sciences are more social.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not just in the name, but actually, like, talking to people and being surrounded with people. Yeah, for sure. And I like that.
Do you, like, how much interaction do you have with your, like, fellow PhDs in education?
Not much, to be honest, because, well, we did have some in the first year, because we had some compulsory lectures on research methods, which nobody really liked, because you kind of come into a PhD with knowledge of research methods, so kind of sitting through that again is not really fun. But after that, I feel like people kind of parted ways, and maybe I have a couple of friends, you know, everyone does like have a little circle, but it's not like a big group. There's 60 of us in the PhD, but like, I don't know 60 people. I know, like, I don't know, maybe 5, 10, you know. And also everyone has really different specialties, and mathematics, as I got to know, is not really popular at the Faculty of Education. There is, in my year, there is one other student who's in math education. And I think in the new cohort there is one more, so it's just really a small group, and there are not many students, not many professors who do that, whereas some other groups, they have maybe like 20 people, 30 even. For example, there is a children's literature group who research children's literature and how it affects children, you know. There is so many of them, like dozens.
Wow.
But yeah. I don't mind. I feel like Cambridge provides you a good opportunity to form, you know, social circles, not just in your faculty, but in your college, or like in some clubs or activities. So I don't think that's a problem. It's kind of good to have it kind of diversified.
So what are the social circles that you know?
Do you want to hear me talking about rowing for the next hour?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's see.
Yeah, because I started with rowing last year, and I feel like it kind of sucks you in at one point, because initially you're like, okay, it's just such a Cambridge thing, I have to try it, I guess, and then you get sucked in, and then you wake up 5 a.m. every day, and like you don't mind. But it's really good, because it's like, on one hand it is a workout and it keeps you fit, but then it's also, you have your team, so it's quite social and supportive, and we go out together and stuff like that. So I really love it, and it's definitely my favorite part of all the social activities, and not just social activities I do in Cambridge.
That's really cool to know, because well, I'm planning to try it out next year, so I'll be prepared for being sucked in.
Yeah. So maybe next year in bumps we will be against each other.
Coming back to maths education, why do you think there are so few people choosing to research it every year?
I think it really depends on the faculty or on the institution, because, for example, in Michigan there was a huge research group that worked on mathematics education and very different aspects of mathematics education. But here in Cambridge there are like literally 2 people, like researchers, fellows, who work on that. So I guess it's natural that they can't take in many students. But I mean, for me, the main thing was not having many people around, but working with a specific person. I really wanted to work with a person who went on to become a supervisor. So like, I'm very happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Because in Estonia, it's also an issue, right? That there are almost no new mathematics teachers coming on. How could we make mathematics education more popular? That people would like to either like become teachers or become researchers, or
I think if we make mathematics more accessible and more, as I was saying, interesting endeavors, it would then bring interest to the people. People would grow interested in mathematics. Then it would only be natural for them to pursue mathematics as a degree, or mathematics teachers education as a degree. So if we make them interested in math in the first place and not make them hate it, like from, I don't know, the 3rd grade onwards, then that will solve a lot of the problem.
Did you like mathematics since like 3rd grade, or?
I loved it, but also I had, first of all, I like the way I think it's very kind of like systematic and logical, so I guess it appeals to me. But also I had such a great teacher. I absolutely loved her, and she was very inspirational for me. I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't probably study mathematics. So I'm really grateful.
So another reason why it's...
Exactly, yeah. And if we would have more inspired teachers, we would have more inspired students. Yeah, for sure.
It's great, very inspiring. Would you like to do some teacher training in the future, or?
I'd love to teach, but not full time. I feel like full time are just quite exhausting, and I don't know if it's for me, but I do love teaching, and doing it as a side gig, I'd really love to, yeah.
But teaching like mathematics, or teaching the teachers?
Both, really. But I do like teaching mathematics, because I love mathematics, especially those introductory courses in, like algebra, analysis. It's my favorite. I'd love to go back and do that again, because I used to do that in Tartu.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's your dream age group to teach?
I actually do like undergraduates, like first, second year undergraduates, because they come from high school and they have their like high school perceptions, and then you get to teach them advanced mathematics, and you get to show them what it is and how beautiful it is, and it's really, I like it a lot.
So there's a big step from, because I obviously stopped doing mathematics after high school, so is there like a big change from high school?
There is a huge change, yeah, because I feel like high school mathematics, as I remember it, it was a lot of just remembering formulas and putting numbers into them and like deciding what formula to use for a theorem, whereas university mathematics, it's more about actually building up a theory like from the start, definitions, theorems, all this kind of stuff, finding patterns, and people are not really used to that, so it's a big transition for many, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is like the way mathematics is taught standardized across countries, or is it very different, for example, in UK and Estonia? And
to be honest, I don't know much about the UK system. I probably should. But from what I know, it is not really standardized. No, it's quite different in many countries. And again, there have been actually studies where researchers go to countries around the world and they videotape lessons, like normal lessons, say in Japan, in Germany, in, I don't know, Russia, UK, USA, and then they analyze it and they compare it, like what kind of tasks they focus on, how does the teacher talk to students, what's the interactions like, what aspects of mathematics learning they actually focus on, and the results are very, very different. Like, for example, I think countries like Japan are very focused on individual work and stuff like that, but like in the US it's a lot more group work, for example. And then again, I don't know if it's actually been done, but you can, I guess, correlate it with Pisa, for example, and see what kinds of teaching leads to what kind of outcome.
Yeah, but then again, Pisa is also, like you said before, it's like very...
It's not objective.
Yeah, because like what does it mean if you do well in Pisa? Like, does it mean that you can actually use it and like apply?
Exactly, and understanding in general is, I guess, quite a hard thing to define, because, for example, in my research, I'm going to measure comprehension of proofs, so how well students understand proofs, and it took me quite some time actually to find literature and come to my own understanding of what it means to understand a proof. And I ended up using a framework mostly developed by the researchers who kind of found these different aspects of understanding proof, like understanding how level it is, understanding specific details, understanding how this proof can be transferred to different situations, stuff like that. And then they provided a methodology to actually make tests to measure understanding based on these criteria. So it is quite complicated.
Yeah, wow, I can imagine. I've never thought of that, but I guess relating it to my own field, it's kind of similar to the, I don't know, never-ending debate about what does it mean to know a language.
Exactly. Yeah, and also I feel like in social sciences in general, something I've kind of struggled with in the beginning is that you really have to define everything. Again, in math, you don't really do that. Like, everyone agrees on what is a proof, what is a theorem, yada, yada, yada. But in education, for example, in my specific project, I have to define what is a proof, what it means to understand a proof, what does it mean for a proof to be convincing, and stuff like that. And I found it really confusing in the beginning.
Oh. So, if now people that are listening would like to get more involved in mathematics education, or who are considering maybe going to study mathematics or becoming teachers, how would you encourage them?
I would actually send them over to Khan Academy. Do you know Khan Academy?
No.
It is an online resource, like a school basically. I think it started on with one person, but I think now it's more. They provide you lessons on anything, including mathematics, and the way they describe it, the way they approach it, and they have YouTube videos on anything and tests, so you can check your skill level and stuff like that. And it's really helpful to get into math and actually to understand what's going on behind it, because actually I think many students, even like in universities, when they don't understand what the lecturer is trying to say, they go to Khan Academy and they have like a light bulb moment. So it is a great resource.
Okay, that's great to know where to get started. Cool. I guess good luck with your research. Thank you for speaking with me. It was very interesting to hear about the transition from mathematics to social science.
Yeah, I don't think many people have that experience, because even when people change fields, they usually stay within like social sciences or humanities or, you know, like real sciences, and not jump between them.
Yeah, I forgot to ask actually about that. That's an interesting topic. How common is it to jump? Not very common, right?
I have met one person who's come from chemistry to chemistry education. And like that's it in my like 3 years of doing education.
Is it like how do other like people who stay in real mathematics?
Some people stay in real mathematics. Some people become teachers. Quite a lot of people who do math actually go to like IT sectors, so like programming and stuff like that, or financial sectors. So there's quite a lot of opportunity, economics and stuff like that.
But there's no taboo in changing to social sciences.
I would say there is, like for sure, because I think there is still the stigma that social sciences are less of sciences, actually, which I don't agree with, because I feel like people don't really understand how rigorous it is to do research in social sciences, and in many ways it's harder because mathematics is rigorous by default, and like in social sciences you have to make it rigorous. So I do feel like there is a stigma, but hopefully it's gonna go away at some point. I'm trying to make my effort to do that.
That's great to hear from someone who's doing social sciences. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Like, subscribe, share. Yay, that was Ksenia.
Thank you, bye.